Sweat Equity Podcast and Streaming Show, the #1 comedy business podcast in the world.
I don't give a shit.
Pragmatic entrepreneurial advice with real raw dog talk.
What?
We're 2020's best
What?
small, medium enterprise business advisory podcast in the United States. Not only that, but we just won an award as 2021's best podcast and streaming entertainment studio, Eastern United States of America, by Media Innovator Awards 2020, hosted by Corporate Vision Magazine. Fuck yeah!
Yeah. Shove it in your face.
I just looked over at how silly your stupid Kobe shirt is.
It's
If
rad.
anybody's,
What are you
if
talking
anybody's
about?
listening to the audio, he looks like a guy that sells hacky sacks on the highway.
Millionaire hacky sack salesman.
This episode, Sweat Equity, is brought to you by Warby Parker. WarbyParkerTrial.com gets you 5 free pairs to try on at home. Prescription, eyeglasswear, sunglasswear. WarbyParkerTrial.com/sweat helps you out. Hooks up this show with a little shekels coming back to us. Warby Parker, the disruptor in the eyewear game. Don't get priced out from Luxottica that owns LensCrafters, Sunglass Hut. It's a monopoly. 97% of the market is owned by an Italian company.
It's the Italians, you know.
That's how they do it. I don't know how they get by it. I don't know. Warby Parker trial.
That was a good Italian impression.
That was so good. It's a me, a Mario. WarbyParkerTrial.com/sweat. Like Q Sweat. 5 free pairs to try on at home on your fat face. And if you don't like it, send it back. Get 5 more to try on your fat face and have everybody laugh at you. Are we ready to get going? Because
Okay.
I'm in a weird mood.
I know, you keep calling everybody fat.
All right. I just said your fat face.
Oh.
The
fine.
royal you.
Gotcha.
Let's get it started. Howdy, Toddy.
What about my sweat equity? Sweat equity. Sweat equity. My sweat equity. My sweat equity.
Sweat equity.
What about my sweat equity?
You mixing over there? Mixing some beats?
You like that?
Was that a real mixed beat?
Yes. Totally meant to do it, and I thought it was rad.
I
Rad is the word of the day.
thought you were going to surprise me with something like, I'm just going to transition into something I've been working on. in GarageBand.
Should I be working on shit?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Not been.
I thought you were like, hey, this is my debut of a song I've been working on.
There's no. I didn't even make that song that we have in the thing. I just kind of mushed it together.
Hey, isn't that what being a DJ is? Mm-hmm. Do you have a
Yeah.
crackle on your end?
Yeah, a little bit.
I couldn't tell if that's my headphones or not.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're good on the fly like that.
Yeah. I'll just hold it.
You're just going to hold it
I'm just gonna
for
hold
30
it.
minutes?
Yeah. Oh, can I go 30 minutes? Just kidding. I'll go for an hour.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes with those aux jacks,
How about that? That's worse.
now it's worse. Now
Okay,
better.
we're good. We're
All
good.
right. We're good.
No sound effects.
Look
What?
at the producer on the fly.
It's pretty good.
Not bad.
I don't give a shit.
Now, we had both our guests had to reschedule today.
I know.
We were going to record 2. And so now we're just like, huh?
What do we talk about again?
Well, I'm sure there's a myriad of things that, because we've had a guest on pretty consistently every episode, except for the one stopgap one we just had to get in there.
Yeah.
I was listening to Adam Curry on Joe Rogan talk about consistency of putting it out, and I was like, "Ugh."
Okay. Was that what you put in Slack? Is that the one in the topics thread?
One of
That's
the
the only thing I didn't look up.
One of the things that he created is podcastindex.org, I believe.
Yep.
Basically, really cool idea. You know how like podcasts are starting to become recognized by kind of big media companies, Hollywood stuff. So there, you see a lot of like on the charts. You see like a celebrity just started a podcast that's like #1
Right.
somehow, and you're like, what?
Russell Brand.
That is all juked. That's been juked for a while. Like those are.
I mean, do they even have to juke it?
I
I mean,
think
somebody puts out a podcast, like the big names, they put it out, and it does become very popular,
But it's like hand-picked. Like it fits a narrative, I would say, if you really want to look at it from like a macro view, or like an amalgam of looking at whose like new podcast gets out there, and it's like they're placating to like, all right, we love trans people. We're gonna promote the newest trans like podcast out there, and it'll be like rising charts, and then it just gains steam from there.
Okay.
All that stuff's like handpicked, like PR wise.
Okay. Maybe, I guess.
That aside, and look, we're the #1 trans podcast.
Trans business
business
comedy podcast.
Right.
Need all three of those tags to get it.
We have the biggest
#1.
trans audience for business/comedy podcasts.
Yes,
That is a fact.
That is the absolute undeniable fact.
Right. We didn't just win 2021's best podcast and streaming entertainment studio, Eastern United States of America, by Media Innovator Awards 2020, hosted by Corporate Vision Magazine for nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
So podcastindex.org, he was talking about, these are open source apps they have on there. Mm-hmm. So that's the apps link I sent. And then the podcast index idea is basically like, there is an issue with what is the
Reporting of numbers.
The donation app.
Button.
The donation app. It's not PayPal, but it's
Patreon.
yes. Patreon has started shutting down certain podcasts they don't like YouTube. So YouTube has the good boy clock at 10 minutes where you can't cuss
Right.
or talk about anything graphic. And then if you talk about anything about COVID or inoculations or any of that, they'll demonetize you like without even just a bot.
Without even listening to it.
Right, with no human kind of QA. And I feel like at a certain level, if a video has over 100,000 views, maybe you could put someone on that
Right.
to quality control that a
I
little
know.
bit.
Nah, we'll just use the AI.
It's
The AI gets it.
It's easier because they just don't. What's their incentive? Like the amount of stuff that's uploaded to YouTube, like it hasn't decreased. How much per minute?
Right. Oh, the incentive to be fair and to be, diligent with what they're monitoring is nothing.
So
it's like just take it off.
Well, we had
Pull it.
SEO expert Dan Kurtz on recently, and I think you thought I was going conspiracy style on some of this, but I do have an issue when one entity controls the organic search so heavily, and then a big branch of them, like YouTube, which is the #2 search engine,
That's crazy.
when they start
According to them.
Well, when they start really going, what speech is fair?
Yeah, fuck you.
And when you really like 99% of people would be like, that shouldn't have been demonetized just for talking about it, even if you don't agree with it.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that's scary, and that really leads back to advertisers, right? Because
Of course, that's what it's all about. Money,
right,
baby.
to me, all the stuff where they're talking about like YouTube and Facebook are shutting it down, it's really because
They just don't want the heat.
they don't want to lose the heat. They don't want to lose advertising money, and so they're going.
When I say heat, I don't mean advertising money. I mean the public pressures,
right.
the
What-
bad PR.
What's the cost benefit of putting
Right.
up with that shit? We can just easily just kill it and
Exactly.
whatever. But so like they're taking almost the old primetime TV model of advertising of like, well, you can only say this stuff here, and we're gonna advertise Tide,
Right.
on this clean stuff,
Oh, weird.
and then so it's like you're placating to the big level advertisers,
Yeah, they got their way.
and then
We all cut that cord. Felt so good.
And then a year ago, we had Sam Tripoli. Oh, maybe we'll call him.
Yeah, call him up.
Just see if we can get him on the
Call
horn.
Bert Kreischer. Let's see if that happens again.
He's in Serbia right now,
Does he?
filming
He's
the
got a
machine. Well, if you see his stories, you know he's
Not
in
paying attention to
Serbia.
it.
Well, no, he's very much there on set with Mark Hamill as his dad in the film. Do you know that?
No,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Maybe we'll call Theo Vaughn. Hey, it's one of those things where I was pitching it, and it's going to be so embarrassing when they don't pick up or go, "Who is this?"
Right.
Right?
How'd you get this number?
Remember, we're friends.
You gave it to me. I didn't give you
At
a
one
number,
point-
fucko.
Theo did do me a huge solid when I took out a chick, and she said one of her favorite comics was Theo Vaughn. And then I go, oh, he's a buddy of mine. And
Oh, yeah.
I texted him, and he got right back to me with,
Way to go, Theo.
a picture of him in the back with the little tea lights. You can tell it's like the comedy club back.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of little small candle lights.
Your fake phone number of Theo Von worked.
It was.
Aren't you glad I sent that
I
photo?
wish I was calculated that much. I wish I was smart enough for my own.
We could do that.
Well, easily, but I'm saying like, it's one of those.
guess
things-
anybody
You have
could.
to be a fucking psycho
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
go on her social and go, ooh, who does she love the most? And
Oh, yeah. That's
then I'm gonna make a fake phone number ping back.
Willies. Gross.
So the thing with all that, the podcast index is really interesting because he basically, Adam Curry, who used to be an MTV VJ, I think one of the first ones, and then he was one of the first podcasters ever. He's talking about keeping this free speech. So basically, by trying to pool a lot of people together, almost as a co-op, a digital co-op of sorts, it'll remain, the free speech will be free. So like they've made a deal where they've created a hosting network so that they're like getting ahead of it, right?
Okay.
Because he's like, okay, I can see the next level. I can see the next thing that what they'll do, because Apple Podcasts is just a directory. Spotify is a directory.
Right. They're
for
not
podcasts.
hosting it. They're
They don't
just
host
shooting it at it.
Right. So you have stuff like Libsyn or a treasure trove of 30 other big time
Right.
podcast hosts. And so what they're doing is they're like, we're trying to go one step ahead. So if they try to kill you off, let's say Libsyn just goes, hey, we don't like your content. They start going the way of Patreon. And then
Oh, yeah. We're out immediately.
and then it's
probably.
like, well, but this would be the backup, or maybe we migrate to this eventually anyway.
Right. I mean, that's why. So that's the main thing is a podcast hosting site.
Yeah, it's done by
When we say hosting, we mean like you can.
your file gets uploaded.
Right. You're uploading your file, and then it sits there and lives there, and then if it was on Apple Podcast would pull that RSS feed from
Right.
wherever it's hosted.
And then the other part that was interesting was he said, I think, like half of all the podcasts out there aren't listed on Apple Podcasts, which is the leading way people find podcasts. They just didn't monetize on it early enough. So now they're having a subscription model, a premium subscription model with Apple Podcasts. For
Podcast Index is doing that.
No. Apple,
Just separate.
yeah. I'm just saying, like, Apple Podcasts now is like they're really late on the game of like making money off podcasts.
Yes.
they don't make anything off of it
Right. Yeah.
other than like
It is
you
weird.
know cross sell of
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you like this podcast? Why don't you buy some Apple Music subscription?
Yeah.
So
thought
like,
about that.
yeah, so it was one of those things. I think he gave like the directory formula to Apple about podcasting, Adam Curry. Like that's how like Genesis he is with all of it. Anyway, this is welcome to Sweat Equity, where we report back what's on Rogan's podcast.
Was it? Dude, I haven't listened to Rogan since he moved to Spotify.
Apparently, the numbers are very much telling like that.
Really? I don't know.
Well, like you got to think about it like, all right, you're a dad boner, right? It's not like how many things you're going to keep up with, and then it's not like you don't want to listen to it. It's just like
I ain't taking those
when
extra
it's-
2 steps.
like it's
Law,
not.
what is the password to your Spotify? Fuck that.
I think I have a family account again. I'll just give you one of those, but
We fam.
but it's like I heard it was such a big deal when you were a guest numbers wise before because of YouTube too, and now YouTube's are only clips, and when you go on there, it's like dwindling.
Yeah?
Basically, doesn't move tickets for comics. That's what I know. As much.
Podcasts don't.
Yeah, but I bet it'll build back up. Like Spotify's going to have all the video hosted on there.
Oh,
Once-
you're talking about Spotify. Okay, I gotcha.
yeah. Once Spotify gets more video, it's gonna step it up.
I see.
Apparently, that's his move too.
Yeah, this is interesting. So do they have an app, Podcast Index app, like on the App Store?
So the apps they have listed on there are all open source, like OBS, like open broadcast software. If you ever need to do like live stream video from a desktop, it's developers basically creating it
Okay,
together.
so they provide apps that you can get podcasts from.
Yeah, just think of it. There's an index of a bunch of, I think, open source free apps for podcasters, and then they have their own hosting ability on Podcast Index, which I believe they call Podcast 2.0. I don't know, but you'll be able to directly. So if we're on there eventually, anybody who's listening and wants to directly contribute to our show, like Patreon, but a lot easier to just make it happen.
Yeah.
Or with cryptocurrency too, with Bitcoin.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's all untouched from like these big entities.
Sweet.
I just think it's interesting how this guy sees the forest for the trees going forward and goes, okay, the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to get to all the hosting.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we're gonna,
that's a good call.
We're
I mean,
gonna
I didn't
get
even think
years
about
ahead
it.
of it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like strategy on a level of like I got to think three moves ahead at least, if not 6 or 10, you know.
Or 50.
Or okay, sure.
You're the one who went
You had to
crazy
round
with
up.
the move numbers, not me.
Well, I was like 3's not super impressive if you're really good at
6,
chess.
10. Make it 40.
Numbers. What do you got over there?
Nothing. Oh,
I see
you know
Val
what?
Kilmer doc on there.
Yeah, I sent you that.
The best-
Val Kilmer has a documentary out that I knew. Did you actually watch the trailer for it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did?
I said don't give me a boner at the gym, dude.
I know, and then
I have
you
such a
probably
man
started
crush.
crying at the gym. When I heard him talking. It was sad, man. Like I didn't.
No, I knew. I kept telling you
I know that,
He's
but I didn't
sick.
actually hear him speak. Like,
that. Yeah, that was a little.
That's
rough.
the difference. Yeah, is that. So I guess Val Kilmer was a big video guy. Went around recording everything he did, but they have all this voiceover of him for the documentary, talking about his life and how and then
Again, another thing where I think he thought ahead.
yeah, he definitely did. I mean, when you see how young he is at the beginning of what he was filming, you're like, holy shit, this guy had this planned out for a while, or at least was just into it.
Or I've been watching a lot of the A&E documentaries on wrestlers,
Or
and
he's
they
attempting,
have
he's going to come
they
back.
have so many all these. There's a bunch of dead wrestlers, and they have all this documentary style interview stuff with a lot of wrestlers to really cobble together. It looks like they're almost alive talking about themselves.
Well, John Paul and I, friend of the program,
Did
John
you know
Paul
Macho
he's
Man
in my
is
living room
Jewish?
right now watching Always Sunny, and we were talking about how Danny DeVito is old. They need to just stick him in front of a green screen and film him, and then work around that.
Oh yeah.
Or he dies.
Tupac hologram.
Yeah, he dies and spends all of his money at the end on a hologram machine, and then he's like a hologram in the show. That would be great, but I
It'd
don't
be a
know.
way to keep him. It'd be kind of a tough pitch. Like, hey, Danny.
I think he'd be in. Seems cool.
It's like,
I'm sick though.
I married Rita Wilson.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I thought they got divorced.
Oh, did they? Back to the stat I was trying to think of. 4 million podcasts out there. 4 million podcasts out there. 600,000 that are active, meaning one episode's been published within the last 60 days. So you got 7 billion people you got in the world. You got 4 million podcasts out there, but really you got about 600,000 out there. So again,
And only 40,000 of them are called Sweat Equity.
there are a lot, and we're about to send a cease and
I know,
desist.
which
bitch.
that was something we were talking about, and we didn't think to do it today. But
you had the vision to get the IP on it.
that part of it.
On this show, which is something one of those things that we would talk about a lot in a long list of things we should do. You actually did it, and I was like,
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Oh, I could see our little thingy over there.
Yeah.
Just sitting in our studio. Yeah. There's 9 of them.
yeah,
Sweat Equity. It's just crazy to me that people go through that. Record an episode. You have to have an episode recorded before it'll go on Apple Podcasts.
well, you can make it 30 seconds.
Sure. But still, you're doing something. You're making artwork for it and shit, and you never once Googled it to see if it was already a thing.
do people? I mean,
Nobody gives a shit. I know.
You've helped
It's
so many.
crazy.
You've consulted with so many businesses that do the same thing, like local business.
Yeah.
They don't even Google. How's this going to look as the user looking this up?
Yeah.
Is
I
this going to
know.
be confusing if I call my my muffler shop Jiffy Tube?
I know. Yeah.
No, it's my Jiffy Tube.
Yeah.
That's going to be the difference.
ABCD liquors.
And you're like, it's the same reason 2 clicks to follow Rogan over on Spotify. It's the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
if you make it, everybody's got ADHD, so it's like, and adults are fucking children now. So it's
We're not.
exactly. So it's one of those things that why would you make this harder for the user? But I agree. I could see.
Podcasts are different. It's people's moment in the sun. They get excited about it. I know what the name's gonna be. Let's get it out. And they
Super-
just fucking don't. They don't look back.
Let's do business terms. Super low barrier to entry,
Yes, for sure.
right?
Too low, almost. I think.
Yeah, but I mean that the market will sift that out. I think.
Were you not just giving out crazy fucking 4 million podcast numbers?
Yeah, but before we thought it was 1 million, right? But we didn't know the active. Active's different. That's an adjusted number.
Yes, that's so. Yeah, when I was looking at those sweat equities, it was like, okay, they haven't done one since 2019. They'll do one every 2 months.
There's a
They'll
Canadian
do-
one that we can't cease and desist.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know how that works.
No, we definitely don't have. Maybe we do.
Depends where they have it hosted.
True.
So
That's
if they
true.
use like Libsyn, that's out of
We
Pittsburgh.
will track that down too. Man.
Yeah. But on the other side, I heard about this with people celebrities that put sex tapes out.
Mm-hmm.
The strategy is to give them a little something of it
Sure.
and to let it be pirated, basically as a
How'd that get
tease,
out?
and you get a lot more people that way. So, like, bringing up Burt Kreischer again, the Machine story, great story if anybody hasn't listened to it on YouTube. It's like an epic almost, and someone in like Vietnam, ripped it, put it on YouTube in Vietnam, and his numbers there are like crazy.
Are you talking about like his stand up of Burt
Right.
Kreischer doing
Of
the
that.
Machine story?
Right.
Somebody ripped it, put it on YouTube, and now they're
Right.
doing well.
It's
because
almost
of it.
like allowing that to happen so you get the residual effect of it.
Right. Yeah.
So our first instinct is to shut them down and to send that,
Yeah.
but we might be gaining people on accident.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, our artwork doesn't scream the other
Doesn't
artwork.
seem that way, but
you know.
maybe if just one person accidentally clicks on our podcast,
Oh,
it's
and
all worth it.
Of the 4 million out there podcasts, only
7 are good.
2 million are on Apple Podcasts. So
That's better.
So cut that. If we're doing kind of transitive property here, and if there's 4 million out there,
We're the number one transitive properties podcast.
we're the number one transitive
galaxy.
trans business comedy podcast
Yes,
out there.
that's what I meant to say.
By transitive property, they have 4 million out there, and 600 are active, meaning one episode the last 60 days. Then 300,000, give or take a couple thou, are on Apple Podcasts, I think.
Yeah, well, I would
2
love
million
to
are on
see.
there, or active on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, that active term though, it's like I'd love to see if you could filter it out. That it's like how did they do 26 episodes in a calendar year, or like just how
it-
free? Because like 2 months, that's not active for a podcast. You need to be at least once a week, and even you and I struggle with that. But like that's active, legit.
We got to bank some up because Daddy's going on a vacation, a comedian wedding. So
Okay.
that's coming into the month. We got 2 next week, so we'll bank them up.
Yeah,
But that's another thing he said, like consistency with your audience is key.
yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like,
I guess my point is I'm trying to be optimistic about the 600,000 that are active realistically. Like that's a lot. That's not really how many legit podcasts there are. It's probably 200 that are always putting an episode
that
out.
one episode in the last 60 days, that's not shit.
That's what I'm
Right,
saying.
right,
Yeah, that's a high number. Knock 67% off of that.
And then he threw some number out of like, and if you have more than X amount of listeners, it's like we're in a weird rarefied era, but we're so far distant from the other big dogs.
Yeah.
So like, there's just people that do it. Like, I mean, the philosophy we've had with the show is, if there's 10 people listening, that's like having 10 people in a room really intimately listening while they're folding laundry.
Yeah.
So it's worth it. I think a good show starts from that. Like doing stand up is like, you just have a need for it, whether you get famous or not. You really want to do it, or
Right.
any art or whatever.
Yeah. Start with making a good show, and then
Yeah,
worry
and
about
then-
your numbers.
Right.
Yeah,
What-
that's good.
What else you got on there?
What were we talking about? Oh, the Val Kilmer doc, but that's not really anything else to talk about because it's just sad.
It is sad, and a lot of people were dopes like you that didn't know
What? That he couldn't talk so good?
that he's
It
sick.
wasn't dope.
Colin, we're gonna see if we can get a hold of Sam
All
Tripoli
right.
here.
Well, after that, we can talk about that wisdom app that I sent you that thing about. That seems like interesting, at least Clubhouse style
Is
app.
that about Wiz Khalifa,
Yes.
Doman
Per-
chicks
I don't know what that means.
getting head?
Oh, guess I did.
You don't listen.
Who are you calling?
Tripoli.
Oh. It's what, 4 o'clock over there? Yeah.
He could be on the road now.
So that wisdom app, what that is, it's not out yet, but it's like a network of. I guess I was asked to be a top mentor for the
this
business
shit, yeah.
for the business category, right? So what'll happen is
This is the new trophy scam.
I'm going into it like a science experiment. I'll report back to the podcast about it because it is a new thing for me. You know, like the idea being, I guess I'll be having a one-on-one conversation with somebody who has questions.
Explain this like you try to explain it to your
I
mom.
am trying to do it that.
But you get an
it's
email?
even stupider. Okay, say your mommy gives you $5,
Mm-hmm.
and then you want to talk to me about it, and business wise, and they'll record it, and then I guess the more people who listen to that conversation, I'll get whatever bullshit cryptocurrency they've made up for their own app, so they don't actually have to put out any money,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's good for gift cards or some shit. I don't remember, but.
Right, it's casino money.
Yeah, exactly. It's all well. I don't know the gift cards. They have to. I mean, I'm sure they got a deal on them, but
Can't get cash out of it.
right. Yeah. Hey, Amazon gift card might as well be cash, yo.
That's a scary principle too. But yeah, I'm with you.
It's not.
I'm
not
with you.
Right. I mean, I'll take that.
Half of all the households in the United States have Amazon Prime.
Only half. Kind of blows my mind. It's only half.
That's half the population, I think.
oh.
So it's like
fact
it's
that my
probably
two
more
kids don't
households
have any-
actually.
okay, I got
I messed that up. Yeah,
Well,
but
that makes more sense.
yeah, I mean, well, they dictate kind of the labor market now, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So wisdom app. I'll have to check that out.
So I've been getting a bunch of these emails too.
Oh.
I sent you one like 2 months ago, a month ago, but I was like, I'll always take the bait on something like this. That
Yeah.
you see a trend of this happening. Plus, you played it at the ego. I'm like, ooh,
Exactly.
They
Top
know
mentor,
I'm
huh?
a video-
Well, I kind of
a video
consider
pro-
myself that way.
They know I'm a
but-
video producer expert.
Right.
I was like, did I write that on LinkedIn? I think?
Sure.
I mean, I'm not like production like you or a friend of the program, Damien
Currently-
Alcazar, or
I thought-
Tim Paniak, Pictures,
currently in the living room
John Paul.
because he didn't want to talk.
Labata. You know, I don't have. They've clearly just scraped LinkedIn and was like,
Yeah.
all right. Now it's interesting because I find the psych ops of the whole idea interesting. So okay, we're gonna play to a bunch of people that are mid-level management, whatever, have X amount of experience per their LinkedIn. Then we're gonna ask them to fill out this form about the subject matter.
Right. Get our own market research.
Which, by
for
the way,
free.
is fucking the one I filled out. It was long. It was like, but I copied and pasted it all. I'm gonna put it on my own blog or whatever, so at least I get some value out of it.
Sure.
And then like, all right, then we're gonna go. Cool. We'll let you know when you have something.
Right.
But in the email, it's like you're an expert. Get paid $200 an hour to consult.
Yep.
Then you just gave them all your nanny. You just gave them all that poo nanny.
Yep. I was thinking about that.
All-
But
your
your
brain pussy.
this thing I was talking about, I didn't have to do anything but give them my email and all that. So thankfully, I haven't given them any of my
They haven't called you.
good goop.
They haven't called you yet.
No.
Yeah. That you don't like brain pussy.
I like goop better. Whatever.
It worked. But it's that thing of like, oh, okay, now they can just build a knowledge base off of all, like what they're going to do is they're going to call you. Because I had another one that was like, let's set up a consult call. And I go, okay, whatever. It's 15 minutes. I'll do it, while I'm on lunch taking a walk or something.
Oh, and I totally recognize how
They didn't call.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hey, you call? And they're like, oh, yeah, sorry. And then they tried to call.
Oh,
and
right,
we kept
right.
missing each other or whatever.
Got
And
another
then-
sucker online too.
No, and then didn't hear from him.
Wow.
That means someone is in a call center rolling calls.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I could see this Wisdom app being like obviously producing free content for like that's the obvious give there. So it's not like it's totally benevolent, but it'll be interesting. I'm kind of weird that Wisdom app was not taken.
Well, they may have paid for it, but or their wisdom knowledge app.org or whatever.
No, I think it was Wisdom.
Or they may have paid for it.
Maybe. Or might
but-
not have existed.
That's that thing of like, basically the award we just got. This is like the similar scam of like, you won an award.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the upsell? I was waiting for it in that email. When you forwarded the
Oh,
email.
there's an upsell.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
was
just
like,
like
you
the
can buy our marketing
Global
packages.
Excellence Award, there's an upsell. But
I'm
the only time we ever talk about getting awards is when we get an award and we don't have to pay any money for it.
right. No, we're going to leverage this.
Sure.
Oh, we're going to put it out there for sure. Like,
2024, we'll be talking about Lux Life Global Magazine
Oh,
Global
no.
Excellence Award.
I want to find
2028, whatever.
all these phony award. If anybody's listening out there and knows any, like they get hit up because they're a nominee for some award they never ever
Yep.
heard of, never
Yep.
signed up for. I want to hear about it because I want to enter us into it.
Yes.
I won best management consultant in Tampa 2 years in a row, but the second year my agency wasn't even active.
You just know how to consult.
It's like-
Can't do your own thing.
I was like, now buy
consulting.
this trophy for $100. And you know what? I even know it's a scam like that because it cost $1 to make and shit.
Right.
And
you're
I'm still like, you still kind of want it. So when people walked in your office, you'd be like,
Yeah. What a psychological mind fuck.
but
Just-
you could just go to your local trophy shop and get it made for $20 probably.
I know. We spent a whole Saturday at the trophy shop. Perfect 300 game. Pitching a no-hitter.
Should
get
get a
all
bunch
the-
of fake Valor,
Yeah.
stolen Valor
Super
trophies,
Bowl champion, or
a
whatever.
dented Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Yeah, you showed me. I mean, I was at the boat parade yesterday. Missed out. It was fun.
Oh, it's that thing where it was the middle of a day on a Monday.
Oh, right. You have a job.
Oh yeah. And you know how I would be. Even if I went and I had a flexible job,
You'd be doing work on your phone.
I'd be
and
so
shit.
like anxious I couldn't even get out of my own head.
I mean,
I'd be like, I gotta do shit. I gotta.
Yeah. anybody listening who's never been to a championship celebration boat parade, it is an amazing sight to see. How they I mean,
Now, if I went, I would get
hundreds of boats.
hammered. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. But like, dude, that I didn't see one person get injured. I didn't see anybody get arrested. Like, the fact that many people had that many boats out there, and it basically, other than the Stanley Cup getting dented.
I think because it was on a Monday, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Like people party, but
You have
if
to
you did
effort-
that on Sunday before that,
Yeah, there's like a level of responsibility you have to be able to go out and get drunk on a Monday
yeah.
that if it was on a Sunday, there would be a lot more arrests. Yeah.
There's all the non-9-to-5ers out there.
Yeah.
And so
I'm a bit of a pro.
it was interesting to watch. When I saw the video of you out there, I was saying it was the exact opposite bizarro world I was in. I had just like looked at an Excel chart for like 3 hours.
Yeah. And then
Going over the
20
most-
minutes after that, we were in the worst lightning rainstorm I've ever seen out on a fucking boat. And thought I was going to die.
Do you get a dad boner for lightning thunderstorms?
I was a bit excited. I was like, does anybody else think it's cool that the Lightning won the championship and it's also lightning out?
I heard Tom Segura talking about it on his podcast on Your Mom's House. He's like, yeah, I was home at Florida, posted a video, so excited about a thunderstorm with lightning in Florida, and then I realized how big of a dad boner dork that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of dads, I've asked a lot of
I
dads,
absolutely was like, "Did I see it?"
this is nature, boys and girls.
Yeah. when you take a step back, it's really pretty cool.
Get it? Lightning. Get it? Lightning.
Thought I was gonna die. It
Yeah,
was
that
pretty-
looked like some
pretty
high
intense.
C shit.
I mean, it was crazy.
Black Pearl.
Yeah.
Whatnot. All right. This has been a good meandering episode.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we dropped some knowledge.
Yeah, we did something.
If you really want to get paid, I've thrown this out here because we're nothing if we don't give like one pragmatic tip of some sort. If you want to get paid for some kind of review or your knowledge, G2 Reviews will pay you $25 for a legit review of like software, of apps, websites you use.
what was it? G2 reviews?
Yeah. And then if you do a video one like I've done for Rike, WRIKE, I think is on there.
Right.
You do a video one, they think they give you like $50,
Oh.
which is interesting because
Well, I got the setup.
the whole thing is like, don't, everybody's paying for reviews on Amazon and shit. And they're like, no, straight up, we're going to pay you for a,
Might as
a
well at
legit
this
one.
point. Yeah.
And then every now and again, it'll send me an email of like, your review's been seen by 1,000 people or something. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, but
interesting.
that's a legit review. You know, Reich, you use it all the time, so like it's not anything crazy.
Yeah,
You know,
and I'm
that's
such-
the sort of shit you should get paid for. Almost like I'd want to hear somebody who's using it all the time tell me if it's legit. You know,
Well, I'm such a babbling blowhard. If anybody asks me about anything I slightly know, I'm like, yeah. Well,
Right,
let's talk
I
about
know,
it.
yeah.
20 minutes.
I love to
So I
share
was
my
like,
knowledge.
this is easy. I could do this shit all day.
Yeah,
So anybody out there that's looking for that little bit of scratch, they might give it to you in an Amazon gift card, honestly, now I think about it.
oh, I'm sure they do.
But that and the class action lawsuits, like the next thing. I don't know how to talk about it. How many of those have you gotten? Like an email, like your data's been leaked from
No, I haven't. gotten any of those.
2008 to 2017. This app leaked a lot of your data, and now there's a class action lawsuit. So do the claim settlement, and then like I did it. Bumble sent me one, and that's
Like $1.48.
I got $36.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But I want to know the pie. I want to know the whole pie.
Right.
I want to know if
How
that's
much did them
$12 million,
lawyers get?
Right. I want to know exactly how much.
Exactly.
And
That
so
should be part of the legislature requirements when they do these
who makes the rules?
things.
Right. So no incentive. All right.
Kill it.
Let's go. Go Bolts.